Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. A powder that has worked very well for me in the past is Hodgdon's IMR3031 powder. It's an extruded powder, or what I like to call a stick powder, so it's a little difficult to meter through a lot of powder dispensers. It's a relatively fast burning powder, so if you look at that on the burn rate chart in the manual, out of 163 powders, that one is rated number 83, so it's right there in the middle. But it's faster than their H335, it's faster than Accurate 2520, faster than Accurate 2460 or 2495. It's faster than Varget. It's also faster than CFE 223. So that powder is ideal for lighter weight bullets. I found this data on the Hodgdon reloading site, and it shows charge weights for a 69 grain bullet of 21 grains to 22.5 grains. And so I'll be loading a 68 grain boat tail hollow point. There's only 1 grain difference in the charge weight. So I'll be using the charge weights that they show for the 69 grain bullet, and it should not be much difference at all. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know that when I go out and shoot, what I do is I load 10 rounds of each charge weight, and I'll shoot 2 5-shot groups at each charge weight, and then I will measure and average those groups. And that will give me some indication of how that round performs. Well, I've had comments from people saying that I should shoot 2-shot groups or 3-shot groups. Some say I'm wasting components by shooting 5-shot groups. So what I'm doing on this set is I'll be shooting 3 groups of each charge weight. I'll be shooting a 2-shot group, a 3-shot group, and a 5-shot group, and then we'll compare and average those out and see if there really is much difference between a 2-shot, 3-shot, and a 5-shot group. The thing about a 5-shot group is you've got more room for mistakes. You've got more room for errors. You could have a flyer. You could flinch. And I suppose the same is true for a 2-shot group. Some people say once you've shot 2 shots, the group's not going to get any tighter. But if you shoot a 5-shot group, you get a better idea of the consistency that you're going to get from that round. Some have even suggested that I shoot 10-shot groups, and that might be something to try in the future. But for this test, I will be shooting all of my charge weights at 2-shot, 3-shot, and 5-shot groups. I'll also be using my Hornady Auto Charge Pro to charge these, and so I'll give you a look at that. We'll measure one of those with the beam scale, and we'll see just how accurate that is. I expect this to be a really fun experiment, and hope you'll enjoy watching. Okay, so today I'm doing something a little bit different. Instead of shooting two 5-shot groups of each charge weight, and I'm shooting Hornady 68 grain boat tail hollow point bullets with IMR powder, and I'm shooting charge weights from 21 grains to 22.5 grains at pretty much 4 grain increments, except for the last load, it'll be a 3 grain increment. So instead of shooting two 5-shot groups at each charge weight, I've had people ask, well, why don't you shoot 2-shot groups or 3-shot groups? I think 5-shot groups give you a better idea of consistency of a particular load. And then I also average an extreme spread with the best 4 out of 5, and that gives me what I call a score. So on this target today, I'm going to be shooting 2-shot groups, 3-shot groups, and a 5-shot group at each charge weight, and I'm going to compare those to see how they perform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot the 2-shot and the 3-shot groups at each charge weight. Then I'm going to come back afterwards and shoot the 5-shot groups at each charge weight. So as always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results afterwards. All right, let's get started. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, let's bring them in and see how we did. All right, here's 3 touching really tight. This first load was really good. Kind of scattered at 21.4. Kind of scattered, very similar between the 3-shot and the 4-shot. In fact, these all look very similar. Here's 2 that are close together, 2 that are touching and 1 flyer. And then we have 3 that are close together and 2 flyers. A little scattered, maybe an inch. Similar size. And then the last group here was really scattered. We had 3 touching, but then we had 2 flyers. So we'll take these home and measure them and see how they compare. And here are my results from the range today. As mentioned, I'm shooting 68 grain boat tail hollow point bullets using IMR3031 powder. And the purpose of this test was to compare not just different charge weights with this bullet, but also I've had people say that They only shoot a 3-shot group, some shoot a 2-shot group, and I've always shot a 5-shot group. And so I thought I would give this a test today to compare a 2-shot, a 3-shot, and a 5-shot group. And I have charge weights on the powder from 21 grains to 22.5 grains. I do want to also mention that as I was shooting these, I didn't just go straight across the line and shoot 2 shots, 3 shots, and 5 shots, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. What I did is I shot the 2-shot and the 3-shot group. Then I moved down to the next charge weight, shot 2 and 3. Next charge weight, shot 2 and 3. Next charge weight, 2 and 3. Next 2 and 3. And then I came back and then I shot all of my 5-shot groups after shooting the 2 and 3-shot groups. So I shot those 5-shot groups last. At 21 grains, this has always been my best load for 73 grain ELD match, and also for 75 grain with this particular powder. And a 68 grain is not very far off from that. So it actually performed very well here. Now, my first shot, I didn't do a warming group first. My first target here was my coal barrel group, and my 2-shot group had a group of 0.30 inches. It was shooting low and to the right, and I always want it to shoot low because this is my point of aim, the bottom of this circle, and I don't want to destroy that. But I do want it to shoot a little more on center, so for the second group, I adjusted the scope 3 clicks to the left and 1 click down, and that group was 0.23 inches. My third group was a 5-shot group, and it was 0.61 inches, and the best 4 out of 5 was 0.41 inches. Now, I averaged those two together, and that gives me what I call a score. So I had a score of 51 on that group. If you average all 3 of those groups together, you have a group average of 0.38 inches. So as you can see, that 0.30 group and the 0.23 group were a little bit misleading because I did have several clustered together that were that close. But when you shoot a 5-shot group, you have a lot more room for making a mistake because you have more opportunities to flinch or to have a bad trigger pull. And that gives you a better idea of how you are actually shooting, in my opinion. So that was the case here. On the second row, I was shooting 21.4 grains of powder. My 2-shot group shot a 0.69 group. The second group was 1.07, and the last group was 1.39, and that was really scattered. And of course, we had a line average 21.4 of 1.05 inches. So that really opened up quite a bit. When we go to 21.8 grains of powder, the first group, 2-shot group, shot a 0.63 group. The 3-shot group shot a 0.81, but the 5-shot group was actually better than the 3-shot group. It shot a 0.76. And then the best 4 out of 5 there was 0.56 inches. And then we had a score of 0.66. And that row, we had a row average of 0.73 inches. When we get to 22.2 grains of powder, the 2-shot group had an extreme spread of 0.34 inches, but the 3-shot group shot 0.73. And then when you get to the 5-shot group, then it really opened up and was a bit scattered. So we had a 1.71 extreme spread, and that's primarily because we had a flyer right here. But the best 4 out of 5 did shoot 0.84, and so we had a row average of 0.93 inches. When you get to the last row, we're shooting 22.5 grains, and that first 2-shot group had an extreme spread of 0.66 inches. When we go to a 3-shot group, we had a flyer here, so that shot 0.94 inches. And then when we get to the 5-shot group, that was really spread out, and we had an extreme spread of 2.09 because we had a flyer down here and we also had a flyer here. So this wasn't just a single flyer. If I have just a single flyer, I'll chalk that up to shooter error. When it's spread out like this, I think that has more to do with how that particular round is shooting. So we had a 2.09 extreme spread with the best 4 out of 5 at 1.22 inches. And then we had an average on that row of 1.23. If you want to average these columns, the column with the 2-shot group had an extreme spread of 0.52. The column with the 3-shot group had an extreme spread of 0.76. But the column with the 5-shot group had an extreme spread of 1.31. And of course, we had an average best 4 out of 5 of 0.81. So if you look at all of these had a total average of 0.86. So I'm pleased that the average was under an inch. So down here, this could be a dirty barrel syndrome because this would have been the last 2 groups that I shot. However, I really am not going to attribute it to that. I'm going to attribute that really more to the load that I was shooting and not just a dirty barrel because I had only shot, this was only 50 rounds total. And I don't think that's enough to throw it off. To me, this just goes to show that a 2-shot group and a 3-shot group don't really give you a good picture of how that round is going to perform. If you really want to know how that round is going to perform, I recommend a 5-shot group and average the best 4 out of 5 in your extreme spread together, and that will give you a score. And to me, that's a good indication of how that round is shooting. All right, so those are my results from the range today. I won't be shooting 2-shot and 3-shot groups. I'll continue to shoot 5-shot groups and average those out. So I'd like to know, how do you practice? Do you shoot 2-shot, 3-shot, or 5-shot groups? Let me know in the comments below. So if you have any ideas or thoughts about this video, please feel free to leave a comment below. Or if there's anything that you would like to see in the future, please let me know that. I always try to interact with everyone who comments. And I hope that you will like and share this with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.